going to talk about best practices of Web3 in fundraising and community growth.
With setting up Enjinstarter, as well as the projects that we have done to actually share with you all insights. And hopefully, if you guys are looking at going on a similar journey, you can learn some tips and tricks and not repeat some of the mistakes that we have done, right? So just to give you guys a backstory about how I started Enjinstarter, I was given an opportunity to invest in a project called Efinity. I have a good friend called Sash, and he was working on that project, gave me a small allocation. And when I actually read through the white paper, I felt that Engine was going to be building a new blockchain on Polkadot that was going to create this new level of cross-chain compatibility for NFTs. It's going to take some time, but we felt that that's something that we were very, very excited to actually build an ecosystem for. And that's kind of how we got together in April last year. I brought together a team that I've known for more than 10 years. I worked with them in the past. I know their strengths. I know their weaknesses. And that's kind of how we got together to start the company. The first guys that we actually approached was, Pratik, that you spoke. He was moderating the panel. They've got something called Altcoin Buzz Labs. We were the first project that they incubated, right? So we sat with them. We shared with them what our vision is. We shared with them what the team that we had, and we started building some stuff. And that's where they came in. They gave us advice on tokenomics. They gave us advice on how to actually start building a community. And they invested with us, right? So the key thing in this space is to make sure that people have skin in the game. They actually put in money, and then they actually start working with you. And one key thing to note is in Web3, the investors don't just invest money, but they also work with you, right? They start introducing people to you. If you need a platform like this to speak at an event, they start putting that together. So, the active involvement that the Web3 investors give is phenomenal. And as projects, you need to demand that, right? It's not like traditional investors where they put in money and then all they expect is a quarterly report. Web3 investors are super hands-on and they really get going, right? So we started our fundraising journey in July. We started out with crypto VCs. We also started speaking to a lot of key opinion leaders who actually invested with us, and we managed to raise about 5 million in our private token sale. And then we did our own IDO on our own platform, which is very important, right? We needed to show the community that we had a functioning product, so we hosted our own sale. It wasn't smooth. We had challenges. Our website got hacked the night before our IDO, and the hacker was asking me for something like 0.5 ETH. I refused to pay. So we ran the IDO without a corporate website, but thankfully the community continued to support us. We sold another 500,000 worth of tokens, right? So we raised about 5.5 million, and then we went straight to work. 2 weeks after we did our own IDO, we started doing IDOs for others. And since then, we've actually invested into 60 companies, and we've completed more than 47 IDOs on our platform, right? So along the way, we've actually built a community, and the three main communities that you need if you're doing a token sale is Telegram, you need Twitter, and you actually need Discord, right? This is where a lot of discussion actually happens. My personal preference these days is actually Discord. It's a bit easier to manage the security concerns. On Telegram, the biggest challenge that we have is there are many people who will pretend to be me, Prakash, and they'll go around offering, tokens, allocations, and people have been scammed, right? Even some of the more established investors that we've worked with have fallen prey to phishing attempts. They've fallen prey to a whole range of other scams, and that's something very real, right? The space is very new. The infrastructure is still very raw, and people will come to scam you, right? But what's important in Telegram is that if you can create localized communities, it becomes very, very powerful. A key trend that we're seeing is there's a lot of new people that are coming into Web3, especially from emerging markets, and they require to actually work in their own language, right? Because it's a new platform, there's a lot of questions that may be going through in their head, and this is where they actually need to be educated. They need to actually be working in their familiar language, right? So what we did is we focused on building a community in Vietnam, Vietnam is a massive market for Web3 gaming. That's where Axie Infinity came from. They've got a vibrant investor community, and the communities are actually very, very passionate about getting into crypto, right? We've also got communities in Indonesia. We've got communities in Turkey. These are large crypto markets. And we've also recently started a localized community for our Indian market, right? So you need to actually hire moderators. These are guys that you can look for within your community. Sometimes you need to pay them a token. You pay them a small amount in stables or in whatever crypto that you want to pay them, and you can give them part of your tokens as their remuneration, right? There's a lot of young boys and girls who want to come into the space. They'll write to you, and they'll be willing to actually support you. But the key thing to note about these communities is once you switch it on, you can't switch it off, right? It's 24/7. They always say crypto never sleeps. It's very, very true, right? Even through weekends, people will be asking you questions. And sometimes when you don't respond to these guys very quickly, they may call you names, they may lose faith in your project. But this is where you need to engage them. You need to use that as an opportunity to give them faith in your team and that the project is going to be successful. And these are the guys that are going to bring more people into your community, and these are the guys that will actually start investing into your project, right? So with that, I'll quickly go through a couple of slides that I've prepared. So we have a 22-step IDEO marketing plan that we put through every project. In some cases, it's very intense, but the earlier that you guys can start, the better it is, right? And the way around it is to kind of build a very clear narrative towards your story, right? The key thing is to kind of sell your vision, introduce the different stakeholders, right? Talk about the team, talk about the partnerships that you guys have had, and make sure that the communication is going to be very regular. Use all the media that you can to actually tell your story in a very engaging manner, right? These days, we find videos, especially short-form videos, working very, very well. And the key thing really is to kind of tell that story from a multifaceted aspect, right? If I'm promoting the project and the only person that you hear is me, you may not have faith in the project. This is where we will introduce our CTO. This is where we'll introduce our head of social media. And this is the way that we kind of build that trust. Because it's a financial product or a financial instrument that you're selling. And it's a long-term program, right? So people need to buy in. People need to have faith in you. And this is where you need to kind of use these activities to kind of build that out, right? Now, one of the key things that we use is called Gleam. Gleam is a platform where you can actually incentivize the community that you have gathered to actually do things for you, right? They can promote your site, they can promote a whole range of your assets, and they actually earn tokens, or you can even give them an opportunity to be whitelisted, right? So this becomes a very valuable aspect, and we're also creating FOMO, right? So FOMO is a term that we will always use in crypto. It's called fear of missing out, right? That's the hype that you need to create, and that's the way that people start getting excited for your project. You need to get people to actually start talking to you, start writing to you to say, what is it that I can do to actually get this whitelist? And in some cases, people even sell the whitelist even before a token sale, right? So this is kind of where you need to figure out different strategies to actually grow your community. Try not to buy or go for quick fix, right? A lot of people will write to you to say that, they have bots, they have a whole lot of way to actually increase the size of your community overnight. Do not subscribe to any of that because it does you more harm than good, right? Keep the community growth very organic. Naturally, people will actually start growing. And the earlier that you start, the cheaper and the better that it becomes. And at the end of the day, you got to use every single asset that you can think of, right? If you have a database, make sure that you can do email marketing. If you can tell a story to the media and get it covered in the media, it builds a lot of validity. If you need to pay for some of these press releases, you can do that. Crypto media is not cheap, but it gets you the reach with the right audience, right? And what you need to do from an audience marketing perspective, focus on the crypto natives, but also make sure that you're doing enough for the non-crypto natives and make it very easy for them to actually speak with you and also learn more about the project, right? So, these kind of platforms are very, very crucial where you can actually interact, introduce your project. You could host an event like this, or you can join platforms like that and start promoting your project, right? So these are some of the key things that we look for. And you know what we always like to do is to show that we are giving the community value, right? We call this alpha, right? The more alpha that you share with your community, the more they appreciate you and the more they'll start doing things for you. And as the community matures, you will actually start seeing a lot of people actually volunteering to say that these are the ways that we want to do things for you, and the community grows, right? So we started out with a very small team of 5. At this point in time, we've got 17 in Philippines and more than 30 brand ambassadors who are constantly rotated on a 24/7 schedule, and they're managing all our platforms, right? Another key thing to do during your IDEO marketing plan is to go for as many AMAs as you can, right? This is where you visit a third-party platform. It could be a Telegram group where they will host you. They will ask you questions about your community or your project, and gives you an opportunity to actually tell that, right? So there are various platforms. You can start with the text-based platforms, but the key thing that I would recommend is to get onto a video platform. You know, appoint someone as a spokesperson, get them an opportunity to speak, you know, in an interview style, or if you can't, you know, train someone, record that video and put that online, because that really builds a lot of validity for you guys, right? So, you know, and the work doesn't stop at the launch or at the IDEO, right? So the whole idea really is to kind of build all this hype. It comes to that one day where everyone needs to log in, they need to buy your tokens, you need to educate them that they need to actually hold whatever base currency that you're using, right? In our case, we used USDT, so you need to make sure that people have that asset in the wallet, and they also have gas to buy those tokens, right? So you need to educate the market, you need to provide some of these on-ramps so that they can actually buy these things. And then comes IDEO Day, right, where the sale happens. You want to sell it out in as quickly as you can. People like that news. And that's what we offer as a launchpad, right? So you can come to us, we can host that for you. And all our investors have been KYC'd. They need to buy and hold our token, and the longer that they hold our token, the more allocation that they get. And then we distribute your tokens to them, right? And then once the sale is on, you know, you can't stop, right? You have to continuously be engaging with the community. You need to make announcements. And I usually tell a lot of projects to at least keep 50 days runway where they're actually sharing as much news as they can on a daily basis. Because right after your IDEO, you're probably going to list your token on an exchange. It could be a decentralized exchange in most cases these days, or if you're bigger, you can get into a SEX. And once it's on the DEX, you need to make sure that there's enough news so that people are actually buying that token in the secondary market, right? So this is where you get the price going up, you see some price action, and then, you know, the more you actually start sharing more information, you know, the project value goes up, right? If there are any very significant partnerships, again, make sure that you make an event out of it, you know, release a press release, do a press conference online, and again, these are things that are very, very crucial to maintain your token value, right? So I'll try to wrap up. I mean, you can come and speak to me. So we work with a lot of KOLs. All these guys typically invest, and they will also promote their project or your project on their platforms, right? YouTube is a big platform for us. We work with guys like Alex Becker, and you know, each time he promotes us or any of our projects, you know, things kind of really shoot up. So these guys are very important. Try not to pay for these kind of influence, right? Try to work with them, give them the allocation, try to work on something longer term. And you don't want them just to pump your project just for your IDEO. Make sure that you're working with them on a longer term so that they actually can provide a whole range of value. Right? I noticed I'm running out of time, so I better finish up this. I'm happy to take any questions. Otherwise, we've got a booth outside. My team is there. You know, we'd love to see how we can actually work with you guys. We're very passionate about the Indian ecosystem. We see it very much like the Vietnamese market, but we believe that the Indian market can really explode. And what we really need to do is come together as an ecosystem. You know, you've seen a lot of investors. We invest. And if you need any help, just reach out to us. happy to educate you guys on the journey. Everything that we have is public, so we're happy to share that and help you guys on your journey towards making your project a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prakash. That is wonderful listening to you. We now